Hello, and welcome to Small Biz Catalyst. I am your host, Ayisat. Join me as we explore ways that we as small business owners can pay ourselves a growing six-figure salary without pulling out our hair. Whether you're a small business owner or an economic development professional, this show is for you. Let's explore together. And if you listen to the end, I will share some grants that might be beneficial to your business. Today, we're going to talk about something that I think is really important, but often overlooked: fear. Specifically, we're going to explore how fear impacts entrepreneurship and what we can do to combat fear. As entrepreneurs, we're often told to be brave, to take risks, to push past our fears. But the truth is, fear is a natural and normal part of the entrepreneurial journey. And if we're not careful, fear can hold us back and prevent us from achieving our goals. Today's episode is inspired by a series of events that occurred a few days ago. You'll probably be listening to this a few weeks into what's happened. Well, last week, we successfully hosted very first She Inspires Symposium. Leading up to that event, well, I got an email, I think, a few hours post the event, asking if I would do a mother-daughter event in May. And my initial reaction was fear. And I just thought, no, I don't think I can do it. It may not be a success. It could fail. I just don't know. I don't think I can do it by myself. Well, I really had no plans of doing an event in May. And so all of my fears just came up and you went, beep, 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 like it really in high volume. And I just went, it was all over my head. Like, no, I don't think so. I can't handle it. I'm not sure. I have no idea. I think I'm going to need a lot of sports team. I'm going to need a right team. Like everything that I couldn't do came up front. Mind you, I had just gotten a lot of reviews, positive reviews from the event that just happened that evening. And we actually really had a successful event. We had about an 80% attendance rate and we had a lot of food and we just had such a great time. I was definitely just inspired by the whole event and grateful and thankful for how it all came together. But prior to that, 3 months earlier, I was actually afraid to ask the Not Dallas Chamber to partner with me because I thought, oh my gosh, why would they want to partner with me? We're just a little company. They do lots of great events. And somehow I just got the courage one day to ask and say, hey, do you guys do an event with me? And it turned out that everything was aligned because they were planning an event about that same time. And we were able to just share resources, share ideas, and move forward. It basically was, we were so aligned at the same time and it was just the right time for me to ask. And they're like, yeah, sure. And we did this. And then of course, the next fear after that was, okay, where are we going to host such said event? Actually, before I met with another chamber, I was like, I already had the fear. Where am I going to host this event? And then I met with another partner and a friend of mine and she was like, oh my gosh, I have just the space for you. And then I thought, how are we going to pay for this event? And then another organization said, yeah, sure, we'll be happy to sponsor you. We would love to be a part of this. All of this fear were disassembled just by me taking action and taking the right actions and asking for the right partnership. Today, we're going to talk about 3 types of fears that could cripple us as entrepreneurs and what we can do about it. Let's start with the fear of failure. This is probably the most common fear that entrepreneurs face. The prospect of pouring your heart and soul into a business only to see it fail can be terrifying. It's actually the reason a lot of businesses don't get started at all. Thomas Edison, who famously said, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. What if he had stopped at the 10th trial? At the 100th trial, at the 500th trial, at the 1000th trial, and not tried 10,000 times until he got the result he needed. Edison's perseverance in the face of failure is a testament to the importance of pushing past fear and taking risk. I was recently reading about Ariana Huffington and how she started the Huffington Post as a single mother. She didn't allow her fears to prevent her from pursuing her dreams. She pushed forward and today she's built a successful media empire. second type of fear I want to talk about is the fear of uncertainty. As entrepreneurs, we are constantly facing the fear of uncertainty. And the fear came to me when somebody said, would you do another event? Was because I thought, I don't know if people would show up. I don't know what the response would be. I don't know if we'll have the same partners or if we'll need new partners. What if we have more people and we need more food? I mean, up until the day of the event, I was literally worried about everything. What if the decor did not work right? What if the space did not work right? What if we didn't put the food in the right place? What if we don't have enough food? I literally worried about us not having enough food. I called the catering. I called Maggiano's and ordered over the phone just so I could confirm that we would possibly have more than enough food, because it's always good to have more food than less. And I'd actually hosted an event before where I catered lunch and there wasn't enough food. And so, more people showed up than registered. And so now I know people will show up who do not register. And I was just so worried about that. Well, we had more than enough food. At some point, I had to tell myself, you know what? You need to just put away your anxiety and focus on what next. And so I would address the next thing in front of me. The fear of uncertainty can be particularly daunting when you're starting a new business and don't know what the future holds. I think the story of Airbnb is one to consider. Airbnb was founded in 2008 by Brian Chesky and Joe Gebbia. Initially, they faced significant uncertainty, with many people questioning the viability of the business model. Chesky and Gebbia persevered, and today, Airbnb is a global phenomenon. I mean, I have friends who would opt for an Airbnb when they travel rather than a hotel, because then you could stay in the house with your friends. You could rent a huge house and bring family or friends over, or stay together as families. And then, of course, the feeling like it feels almost like home, away from home. And it's not necessarily all plain colors like you would have in an hotel. Just makes it so much fun. What can we do with the fear of uncertainty? Evaluate what's causing the fear. I told you my head just about burst when I initially thought about the possibility of hosting another event. And then I slept on it. And I thought, what's the worst that could happen? And once I was sure about, okay, what's the worst that could happen? Maybe nobody shows up. Maybe we don't even have the event. Maybe we don't get sponsored. Maybe this, that, and the other. And then what's the best that could happen? Is it worth it? And as soon as I started evaluating why we should or shouldn't and what fear I was dealing with, I immediately had ideas of what the event should look like. I even immediately thought about titles and what we should name it, how we should shape it, who we would serve, and how we would serve them. That's what happens when we decide to approach our uncertainty with facts, with research, and by asking what's the worst that could happen, and then thinking about the best that could happen. The third fear I want to talk about is the fear of rejection. The fear of rejection is another common fear that entrepreneurs face. This can be particularly daunting when we're trying to raise funds or get customers to buy into our products or service. For many years, I used to tell myself, I'm afraid to ask for money for me. But I can sell somebody else's product, but not mine, because the money is not coming to me. It's coming to somebody else. It's okay for me to sell their products. I was just really fearful of asking people to buy my product. And over the years, after taking so many training courses, listening to mentors and reading so many books, and then of course, getting confident in what I do, now I know that what I do has value, and that value is meaningful to the person who's buying my service. And so I'm not as afraid to ask for payment anymore, especially when I feel it's priced right. Now, there are some times where I've priced my product incorrectly and self-corrected as, due to responses from the market. But if I don't try and put something out there, I'm definitely sure of getting nothing in return. Hey there, if you're just joining us, this is Small Biz Catalyst. We would like to invite you into our Tag a Business team. Here's what you need to do. Nominate a small business of your choice, tag them on our website at smallbizcatalyst.org. That's small, BIZCATALYST.org. Tell us your name, give us your email address, because that's how we'll be able to tell you if you're a winner or not. and then give us a website to a business of your choice. It could be your business or somebody else's. Once you've tagged the business, you'll be entered for a $25 drawing to a local business of your choice. We'll announce winners every month. And now, back to the show. So let's talk about how we can overcome our fear. I've shared a little bit, and now we'll kind of just circle all on how to overcome our fear. How can an entrepreneur overcome fear and achieve success? The key is to face your fear head on and take action despite your fear. When we started planning She Inspires Symposium, we had no plan to host an event before December, before the end of the year. But then as I spoke to my team, we decided it was probably good for us to do a small event in the first quarter of the year. And so we started working on She Inspires, which I had 3 months to plan and lots of partners in the process. But if we didn't take action and go to each partner and say, would you like to be a part of this? That event would have never happened. Taking action might mean taking small steps at first. It could be as simple as making a phone call or sending an email. But as you become more confident, you can take bigger risk and bigger steps. And as I talk about this, I remember the story of Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx. She's spoken publicly about the fear she faced when she started her business. She didn't let that fear hold her back. Instead, she took action. And today she's built a successful company. In fact, earlier today, I was listening to the story of Melanie Perkins, the founder of Canva. She talked about how hard it was for her to get investors in her organization. And she had actually gone through 100 investors before the 101 investor that she spoke to invested in her. And that made a world of difference. And now Canva is a huge company, serving over 8 million people with over 15 million designs created. And that's awesome. I also learned something else recently. Yesterday, I was listening to Russell Brunson, and I was so appreciative of the video because he talked about the fact that the same feelings we have of fear is the same effect we have when we're anxious. And so what he advised is for us to, instead of saying, I'm afraid or ascribing that feeling to fear, ascribe it to excitement and say, I'm excited about this. I'm excited about this. I'm excited about this. Or I'm anxious about this. And so I mean, that was so eye-opening for me to know that, okay, my fear comes from the same place of, that same adrenaline feeling you get when you're excited about something, or, it's the same feeling you get when you're afraid of something. And if you keep telling yourself, I'm excited about this, you could actually get a mind shift. And instead of you being afraid, you start getting excited to do what you're about to do. So to summarize, overcoming our fears: 1, face the fear head on and take action. 2, utilize those same emotions and energy from your fear and turn them into excitement by telling your brain to process it as excitement instead of fear. Repeating, I am excited about this. I'm excited about this. I'm excited about this would actually help you get excited rather than address whatever the problem is with fear. You've probably all heard the book title or the phrase, feel the fear and do it anyways. Do it anyways. So I've decided to do this event anyway. And now I'm looking at other options. I'm considering 2 options actually. So I might do an event in May or go ahead and do an event in June. Either way, it's going to be a great opportunity for me to serve the community and bring on other partners. And so this morning I called one of our partners and I said, hey, here's a thought. Would you be interested in doing this with me? Now, I don't have a yes yet. I have a maybe, but that's good enough for me. And I know that the more action I begin to take, the more likely we're going to have an event that's going to be phenomenal and serve our audience in an exquisite way. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Small Biz Catalyst. If you found this show helpful to you or someone you know, please like and subscribe or follow us on any podcast platform that you're on. And if you're feeling especially generous, send us a review or a comment. I like to read them and respond. Thank you for listening. And now for the grant section. Today's grant is from Foam Recycling Coalition. This grant funds programs like employment, economic development, job-related, and business grants. It also funds public, society benefits, multipurpose, and others. It's a nationwide grant. To be eligible for this grant, you need to be a public and private entity in the US and or Canada that engage in any of the following activities that are eligible to apply for the FRC grant. 1. Operate a material recovery facility, manage residential curbside recycling programs, manage drop-off or convenience site recycling programs. The maximum grant amount is $50,000. The deadline is April 15, 2025, and the grant application and guidelines can be found at recyclefoam.org/grants. That's recyclefoam.org/grants. The second grant is by McGuffin Creative Group, Inc. The grant is applicable nationwide, and this is an in-kind service award valued at $30,000. Only nonprofit tax-exempt 501c3 organizations or U.S. organizations or fiscal agents with the status are eligible. The maximum grant amount is not specified. The deadline is April 25th, 2025, and you can find more information at McGuffin.com/grants. That's McGuffincg.com/grants. That's McGuffincg.com/grant. Thanks for listening. Until next time.